Hello everyone, Professor Toybox here along with Tonto, and we're back in my Land of the Dead toy box, which is based on the Disney Pixar movie Coco. Last time we finished the build for this toy box, and now we're ready to start adding the interactive features. The first feature I want to work on is the train. I could have just added another rail slide that would connect to Tower 3 behind me, over there to Tower 2, but as you can see it's a long straight stretch, and I think that would have been a pretty boring ride. The Coco movie had trains and gondola cars that ran between some of the towers, and that seemed like a fun idea to me, so that's what we're going to build today. So last time we set up this train depot over here on top of Tower 3, and the very first thing we're going to need are some train tracks. So I'm going to line these up here with the bridge, and then we're going to go all the way back to the wall here, and I want this to be positioned about right there, half a block off of that building. And we're going to need a little stopper on the end of that, like that. And we'll put a subway car down, and this needs to sit right there. And there's no way to actually enter this car to ride it, so you have to ride on top. And so we're going to need some little platform here that will get us up on top of the car, so I'll use this dock and these dock stairs, and that'll allow us to climb up there and hop onto the top of that car. So that's it for this side as far as building, and now we need to run the train tracks all the way across, and it's just a matter of laying track. The track and the train pieces here are from the Marvel Battlegrounds playset, and you'll need that if you want to build this. Unfortunately, there's only straight stretches of track. There's no curves. There's very few pieces to work with, so we can't build some of the nice train sets that you might want to build in the toy box, unfortunately. But in this case, we have the train tracks going in a straight line, and that works well here just to connect between the two towers, so I like that. This last piece of track, if we've laid everything out properly, will end half a block off of this building, like you see right there on this side. So that's perfect. And then we need a stopper on this end. And I'm going to drop a second subway car over here. And this is just for spacing purposes, so we can hook up everything. And once again, we're going to need a way to board this. So we'll put down a dock over here next to that, and some stairs to get up there. And there we go. So now we have the build done for our train. Next thing we got to do is actually make it move, and for that we're going to need a few Creativitoys. So I'm going to come up to the Creativitoys drawer here, and we're going to set up a path creator, and I'm actually going to start it down on this end, I think. Doesn't really matter, but I kind of like the idea of it starting here. And I want to center this right underneath this car. So about like that, and right on the train tracks. So that's where the first point is going to go. And as we drag this out, I'm going to put another point right here on the boundary between these two train blocks. Just like that. And you'll see the reason for that in a moment. And then we'll come down to the other end of this, and I'm going to do the exact same thing on this end, one block away from the main surface over here on the right. And then the last piece will be centered underneath this car, right there. And then we can exit. And at this point, I've placed the path point, so we can go ahead and delete that car, because we're going to use the one on the other end. Now all of the path points are pretty much fine at the ends anyway. These middle ones, I want to set the properties for those to raise the speed from 100 to 300. And so the train will start at that end going at 100 speed, and by the time it hits this point it will have accelerated up to 300, and it'll be traveling the maximum speed across here until it reaches this point, And we're also going to set this to 300 as well, so that it travels full speed between those 2 points. Just like that. And then this last point down here, we'll leave set at 100. Now for the path creator itself, we'll come under the properties, and as I said, we'll leave that at 100. I want to turn off the auto start objects when connected. And I think that's the only thing I need to change here. Yep. Okay, so at this point we've set up the path. So now we can go ahead and put the car onto the path. So we'll select the subway car, open the logic menu, do a new path connection. And we're going to connect it to that path. And then on the subway car, we can open the logic menu again and go under Properties, Toy Box Path, and everything under here is fine except the movement style. We need to set this to back and forth. And now that will run back and forth along that path, which is great. Okay, the next thing we'll need to do is get this started because we turned the auto start off. And we're going to use the level starter over here that we dropped down in an earlier video. And so when the player immediately enters the toy box, the level starter will start the train moving along the path. So on Catalyze on the level starter, we'll come over here to the subway car. Toy box path, start. And at this point, the car will move back and forth along this track. Now, you might be climbing up and standing on this platform, and the car right now will come down here and immediately turn around and start moving. So it'd be kind of nice if it stopped for a few seconds to give you time to jump on board before it took off again. And so what I want to do then is come down to the point on each end of the path, and we're going to set up a new logic connection, and we're going to do a when point reached by object on the path, we'll come to the subway car and say stop. And we did that for that point. We need to do the exact same thing for the point on the other end. There we go. New logic connection when point is reached by the object on the path, which is our subway car. We'll come over to our subway car and tell it to stop. So when it reaches the end of the line, it stops. But now we need a way to start it up again. And so for that, we have to have one more creativity, and we need to use the time delayer. And there it is. And for right now, I'll just drop this over here. So on the time delayer, we'll open up the properties, and I'm going to set this to be 5 seconds. That should be plenty of time for the player to hop onto the train. And we'll come back over here to the path point, and we hooked it up a moment ago to the subway car to stop it. We're going to do another logic connection, and again, when the subway car reaches that point, when point reached by object on the path, not only will it stop the subway car, but it'll come over here to the time delayer and start the delay. And we'll do the exact same thing again with the point on the other end. When point is reached by the object on the path, not only does it stop the car, but it starts the time delayer. Just like that. And then on the time delayer, we'll do a new logic connection when the delay is completed. So 5 seconds after we've kicked that off, we'll come back over to the car and start it moving again. So right now everything is static. When we come into the level starter will start the car moving. When it reaches the other end, the point at the other end, it will stop the car and start the time delayer and give us time to board if we're over there. And then 5 seconds later, the time delayer goes off, starts the car moving again. It comes down to this end, stops at this point, and stopping at this point will also kick off the time delayer, and 5 seconds later sends the car going back that way. And so the train will run back and forth along this track indefinitely. And it all is automatic. We don't have to do anything in order to push a button or shoot something to get the car moving. So that works out pretty well, I think. And I believe that's everything, so let's come over here and test this. And I've already got this button that I dropped down earlier, which connects to the level starter and starts it. So this kind of works like a nice reset button. So we'll press that. And if we did everything properly, we should see the car moving up there in a moment. Yep, there it goes. And it's heading across the bridge. And it just reached the other side of that and stopped. And a few seconds later, that should start, yep, moving the other way. So there we go. It's just running back and forth along the tracks. We'll go ahead and hop down here and ride it. So here comes the train. We'll get up here so we can board it. There we are. That gives us time to hop on board. And here it goes. So while we're riding it, we can kind of look around, admire the scenery. And arriving at the station. And there we go. So now we have a fully functioning train that runs back and forth between towers 2 and 3. It's a really neat feature, and it's fun to ride it and admire the scenery as you travel. This is something you can add to just about any toy box that you want to build, and it's pretty easy to set up. Next time, we'll start working on the main story for this toy box. Meanwhile, I hope you enjoyed my video today, and if you did, please give it a like, and don't forget to sign up on my blog or subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't already done so. That way you won't miss the next episode in this series or any of my future Disney Infinity projects. You'll also find floor plans and logic diagrams on my blog that will help you build my toy boxes on your own console or PC if you want to do that. Thanks for watching today, and I'll be back later this week with a brand new video.